A car accident happened by chance, and my longtime rival came by, only to mock me. Before she could say anything, I pretended to have amnesia and, on a whim, teased her by calling her darling. "Why did you take so long to get here, darling?" Her frozen expression made my heart blossom with satisfaction. "Yeah, I'm a little late," she replied. Then she leaned down and kissed me on the cheek, as if to apologize. The moist touch on my cheek felt like lightning striking through my brain. A car accident happened by chance, and my longtime rival came by, only to mock me. Before she could say anything, I pretended to have amnesia and, on a whim, teased her by calling her darling. "Why did you take so long to get here, darling?" Her frozen expression made my heart blossom with satisfaction. "Yeah, I'm a little late," she replied. Then she leaned down and kissed me on the cheek, as if to apologize. The moist touch on my cheek felt like lightning striking through my brain. Why I used such a cheesy word, I had no idea. Maybe it was the anesthesia. Maybe it was the thrill of seeing her startled expression. That little moment of triumph was irresistible. What I didn't expect was her response. "Yeah, I'm a bit late," she said, and then kissed my cheek. I almost jumped out of bed. Vanessa Harper, the heiress of the Harper Corp., my mortal enemy in the business world for the past 5 years, just kissed me. This wasn't a hallucination. Her soft lips and that gentle floral scent of hers were real. "What's wrong?" Uncomfortable, she tilted her head and asked, her gaze genuinely concerned. She wasn't wearing her usual bold makeup today, the kind that always screamed intimidation. Her bare face was surprisingly delicate and sweet. My throat tightened. My brain was working overtime. If I admitted I was faking it now, I'd be digging my own grave. Knowing her, she'd make sure I'd never see the light of day again. Feeling a slight headache, I decided to keep acting. I answered weakly. Vanessa Harper immediately pressed the nurse call button, so fast it startled me. "The doctor says you may have a mild concussion. It's normal to have some memory confusion," she said gently, brushing a loose strand of hair from my forehead. "Don't worry, I'll stay by your side." Her fingertips were a little cold, but the touch burned like hot iron. My whole body tensed. Is this act going too far? I struggled to keep my expression in check, aiming for a look of innocent confusion and dependence. "Darling, have I been asleep for a long time?" Her lashes fluttered slightly. She took my hand. The gesture almost made me pull away reflexively. 3 days, she said gently. "Do you know how worried I was?" Her palm was warm and dry, with slight calluses on the fingertips, probably from holding a pen too often. I was stunned. So this is what the hand of my lifelong enemy feels like. Just then, the nurse walked in, breaking the strange but warm atmosphere. Vanessa Harper naturally let go of my hand and stepped aside, but her gaze stayed on my face. "Mr. Walker, how are you feeling?" the nurse asked while checking the 4. "I'm okay, I glanced at Vanessa Harper and added vaguely, "some things are still a little fuzzy." The nurse nodded knowingly. "That's common after a concussion. Is this young lady your girlfriend?" "Having loved ones around helps the recovery." I choked on my saliva. Vanessa Harper smiled and answered for me, "I'll take good care of him." Once the nurse left, it was just the two of us again. The room suddenly felt suffocating. "Do you want some water?" she asked, picking up the cup by the bed like she'd done it 1,000 times. I hesitantly nodded. She carefully supported my neck and brought the cup to my lips. The position was practically an embrace. The scent of jasmine from her hair surrounded me again. I choked on my saliva. Vanessa Harper smiled and answered for me, "I'll take good care of him." Once the nurse left, it was just the two of us again. The room suddenly felt suffocating. "Do you want some water?" she asked, picking up the cup by the bed like she'd done it 1,000 times. I hesitantly nodded. She carefully supported my neck and brought the cup to my lips. The position was practically an embrace. The scent of jasmine from her hair surrounded me again. We'd fought tooth and nail over that project. There was no love in sight. You were wearing that navy blue suit, she continued, and the tie you wore was the birthday gift I gave you. She went on, fabricating more memories, so detailed it was terrifying. Cold sweat ran down my back. Either she'd planned this all along, or she truly believed we were in a relationship. Just then, the hospital door opened again. My assistant, Ryan Mitchell, burst in holding a stack of documents. We'd fought tooth and nail over that project. There was no love in sight. You were wearing that navy blue suit, she continued, and the tie you wore was the birthday gift I gave you. She went on, fabricating more memories, so detailed it was terrifying. Cold sweat ran down my back. Either she'd planned this all along, or she truly believed we were in a relationship. Just then, the hospital door opened again. My assistant, Ryan Mitchell, burst in holding a stack of documents. I could see the look of sheer panic in Ryan Mitchell's eyes, as if the world was ending. After all, the whole company knew that just last month, I had been in a heated argument with Vanessa Harper in a boardroom for 30 minutes over a major bidding war. "And no problem at all," he stammered, and before bolting out of the room, he gave me a look that practically screamed, "Are you under some kind of spell?" Watching his frantic exit, my mind was in chaos. Great. Now the whole company will think I've lost my mind. "My dear, you just scared my employee," I said in a deliberately sweet tone, curious how Vanessa Harper would respond. She raised an eyebrow, then suddenly reached out and grabbed my chin. "Ethan Walker, do you know what I love most about you?" Her fingers applied a slight pressure, forcing me to meet her fox-like eyes. My heart began to race, not sure if it was fear or something else. What?" I stammered. "This expression you're making right now." She leaned in, her warm breath brushing my earlobe. I was clearly resisting, yet helplessly playing along. I froze. She knew. Vanessa Harper straightened up, a triumphant smile playing on her lips. "The doctor said your memory might have stopped 3 years ago, back when we first started dating," she said, blinking innocently. "Do you need help remembering, darling?" My throat tightened. This woman was playing with fire. Fine. I decided to strike back. I grabbed her wrist tightly. "Why don't we start with our first kiss?" Clearly caught off guard, her wrist trembled slightly in my grasp. But in the next second, she leaned in closer. So close I could see my reflection in her eyes. "It was in your office," she whispered. "I brought a contract. You pushed me against the door." My mind exploded. That day did happen, though we nearly came to blows. "And then?" I croaked, unsure if I wanted to hear more. Her lips almost touched mine. "And then you." Before she could finish, the door burst open. "Ethan. I heard you were in a car accident." I was worried sick. It was my mother's voice, which abruptly stopped. My father followed her in. Both of them stood frozen, staring at the hospital bed. We were practically tangled together on the bed when my parents suddenly entered. They had been traveling in Europe, but flew back overnight upon hearing about my car accident. The atmosphere froze instantly. Instinctively, I tried to push Vanessa Harper away, but she was already holding my fingers tightly. "Hello," she greeted calmly, sitting upright with a polite smile. "I'm Ethan Walker's girlfriend. Vanessa Harper." "Girlfriend." My mother's voice jumped 8 octaves. Her handbag slipped from her hand and hit the floor. My father looked as if aliens from the Harper Corp had invaded Earth. My temples throbbed. This time, she'd really gone too far. "Yes," Vanessa Harper nodded casually, even pulling the blanket over me more carefully. "We've been together for over 3 years now, just hadn't gotten around to telling you." My mom rushed forward, her eyes darting between the two of us. "But just last month, the news said you two were merely business rivals at the bidding event." Vanessa Harper smiled and cut in smoothly. "Privately, we're very affectionate." As she spoke, she lovingly patted my head. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Then, for some reason, my mother's eyes welled up with tears. "That's wonderful. I was always worried Ethan would be alone forever because of his workaholism." Meanwhile, my dad stepped up and stared at me, suspicious. "You've been hiding this well, haven't you?" I opened my mouth but realized I couldn't explain anything. If I admitted it was all an act, what about the kiss? If I kept pretending to have memory loss, my parents might seriously hand me over to this demoness. "He just woke up not long ago," Vanessa Harper chimed in naturally, her acting worthy of an award. "The doctor said his memory is still a bit jumbled, and it's best not to overstimulate him." My mom instantly took my hand, full of concern. "My poor child. Vanessa, dear," she added, turning to her, "please take care of Ethan during this time." "Of course," Vanessa Harper replied with a smile. "After all, I'm his girlfriend." I stared in disbelief as my mom pulled out a heirloom ring from her bag, a family heirloom meant for her daughter-in-law, and placed it directly on Vanessa Harper's wrist. "Auntie, this is too precious," she said, feigning reluctance. "Just take it. It's yours sooner or later anyway," my mother said, beaming so widely her eyes disappeared behind her smile. Witnessing all this, I closed my eyes in despair. What the hell is happening right now? My dad clapped me on the shoulder with a solemn tone. "My son, you've got good taste. This Harper girl is far better than the ones from those matchmaking sessions." That line, I'd heard it so many times, it landed like a billion punches this time. When the nurses finally convinced my parents to go consult the doctor, I immediately grabbed Vanessa Harper's wrist. "Are you insane?" I whispered. She tilted her head to look at me. The heirloom ring on her hand glowed warmly under the light. "What's wrong, boyfriend?" "Who's your boyfriend?" I gritted my teeth, voice low. "This little game needs to end." She leaned down, her long hair brushing against my chest. "Then do you want to tell your parents right now that you're faking amnesia, and I caught you red-handed?" I was speechless. She smirked and winked. "Just play along. Once your memory returns, we'll have a peaceful breakup." "Why should I go along with you?" I snapped, my face turning pale. Suddenly, she stroked my cheek, her thumb lightly brushing the corner of my lips. "Because." Her voice softened. "When you had that car accident, I was genuinely scared." "Huh?" I froze. There was something fleeting in her eyes I had never seen before, fragile and real. Then she quickly masked it with her usual playful look. "Just treat this as a drama we're acting out together." "Okay." My heart skipped a beat. I didn't know why I nodded. She smiled and sat up straight, but when she turned to leave, I grabbed her wrist. "Wait a minute." I frowned. "If we're acting, we need to know the script. How exactly did we get together?" Vanessa Harper's eyes lit up. "At a corporate party. You took the drinks for me. Then you pursued me for 3 months." "Nonsense," I said instinctively. "It was you who made the first move." The moment I spoke, I regretted it. Vanessa Harper gave a triumphant smile. "Seems like someone's memory is coming back faster than expected, huh?" Annoyed, I let go of her hand, but she suddenly leaned down and whispered in my ear, "Don't worry. I'll be the perfect girlfriend." I couldn't tell whether it was a threat or a promise. The day the doctor announced I could be discharged, the hospital room was filled with a strange, celebratory air. My parents stood by my bedside with Vanessa Harper. The three of them looked exactly like future in-laws and a daughter-in-law. My mom had even packed up all of Vanessa Harper's personal belongings, things she brought while taking care of me in the hospital. "Ethan," she said, rubbing her hands together, her eyes sparkling as she looked at Vanessa Harper. My temples throbbed hard. "Mom, I can just hire a caretaker, what are you talking about?" My father patted me on the shoulder. "How can you let your girlfriend live alone while you hire a stranger to take care of you?" Vanessa Harper stood behind them, winking slyly at me while twirling the heirloom ring on her hand. "Don't worry," she said sweetly. "My apartment has a guest room, and it's near his office." I widened my eyes. Wait, when did she discuss all this with my parents? "Perfect," my mom exclaimed, holding her hand tightly. "This child never knew how to take care of himself. Now that you're with him, we're finally at ease." And just like that, before I could even protest, I was escorted to Vanessa Harper's apartment. Her place was in the city center, the penthouse of a luxury building, spacious and well-lit to the point it made me feel itchy inside. As I stood in the entryway, I suddenly realized something serious. I hadn't brought a change of clothes. Vanessa Harper pulled a brand new pair of men's indoor slippers from the shoe cabinet and tossed them at my feet. "Already prepared." I looked down. The slippers fit perfectly. A strange feeling welled up inside me. "Since when?" I asked. "The third day you were hospitalized," she replied nonchalantly, walking into the living room. "I told my assistant to buy your usual stuff. Clothes are in the closet in the living room." I followed her. Beyond the glass window, the city night view stretched out endlessly. Under the lights, Vanessa Harper's silhouette looked especially delicate. I suddenly remembered the last time I'd seen her before the accident. She was dressed in a crisp business suit, relentlessly cornering me at the negotiation table. But that was the only time. The living room was decorated simply and comfortably. Inside the wardrobe, a neat row of brand new shirts and casual wear hung. Even underwear and socks had been prepared. Out of curiosity, I flipped over the labels. All were from brands I regularly wore. "You investigated me," I turned and accused. Vanessa Harper leaned against the doorframe and shrugged. "Business is like a battlefield. Knowing your opponent is just basic survival." She paused, then added, "Besides, I'm your girlfriend now. Remembering your clothing sizes, isn't that normal?" I was speechless. This woman always had a perfect counter for everything I said. "The bathroom's at the end of the hallway," she pointed. "Towels and toiletries are all ready. I'll go warm up dinner. Come eat once you've settled in." After saying that, she turned and walked away, leaving me standing in the middle of the living room, suddenly aware that I was deep in enemy territory. As the warm water washed over me, I was still thinking, how should this play end? Should I just admit I was pretending to have amnesia? But then how would I explain Vanessa Harper kissing me? Maybe I should just keep going. God knows what this cunning woman is really scheming. While drying off, I realized I didn't bring any clothes. There should be a set of pajamas she prepared in the dressing room outside. I wrapped a towel around myself and pushed the door open, only to freeze on the spot the next second. Vanessa Harper was standing in the middle of the dressing room, her back to me. She had just taken off her shirt, which now hung from her arm, revealing her bare back. But what shocked me wasn't the near-naked body in front of me. It was the horrifying bruise below her right shoulder blade, a deep purple-blue blotch. "I'm sorry." I quickly turned around, but then I heard her suck in a breath. "Don't move," she said sternly. She swiftly grabbed a robe to wrap herself in, but the pain slowed her movements. Instinctively, I stepped forward to steady her swaying body. "You're hurt." "It's nothing." She tried to pull away, but I had already seen the stitches at the edge of the bruise. It was a car accident injury. A terrible realization dawned on me. She had been there. Vanessa Harper finally gave up struggling and let out a sigh. I just happened to be driving behind you. She spoke casually. After your car hit the guardrail, there was a sedan that nearly collided 3 times. I just blocked it a little. My voice rose. You almost died, and you're calling it just blocking a little? No wonder she showed up at the hospital. No wonder she knew my medical condition so well. No wonder she couldn't sit for long these past few days and had to keep moving. Vanessa Harper looked up at me. Under the soft dressing room light, her amber eyes shimmered. Don't look at me like that, full of guilt. I just didn't want to lose a worthy opponent. My heart pounded wildly. And I suddenly realized. That kiss. Maybe it wasn't just a joke. Vanessa Harper. I tried to speak, throat tightening, but she suddenly poked my chest. Hey, standing in front of me half naked like this. Are you trying to seduce me? I looked down and realized. The towel around my waist had come loose and was barely hanging on. Panicked, I quickly grabbed it. Just as Vanessa Harper laughed loudly and walked out of the dressing room. Dinner was simple, spaghetti and salad. But surprisingly delicious. I sat at the dining table, watching her set the dishes with practiced ease. I couldn't help asking, do you cook often? Occasionally, she poured me a glass of red wine. When I'm under a lot of pressure, cooking helps me calm down. I took a bite. The sauce was rich, the pasta perfectly al dente. Better than I expected, I admitted. What, you thought career women don't know how to boil water, she teased. I thought your kitchen was just for storing drinks and wine. I answered honestly. Vanessa Harper laughed. And for the first time, I saw a genuine smile on her face. The corners of her eyes curved like 2 crescent moons. Ethan Walker, you really have misunderstood me deeply. After the meal, I offered to wash the dishes. She didn't refuse, just pulled another bottle of red wine from the cabinet, then sat by the bar near the glass window, sipping quietly. After everything was settled, I walked over and sat beside her. The city lights sparkled in her eyes. Her face, slightly flushed from the wine, looked unusually gentle under the dim lighting. I looked it up. Your bruise needs a warm compress, I suddenly said. Vanessa Harper's hand froze mid-swish with the wine glass. So I stood up, went to the storage room, and grabbed the medical kit, a heating pad, and a towel. When I turned back, she hesitated for a moment, then slowly turned her back to me. I gently lifted the collar of her robe and carefully placed the warm towel over the bruise. Does it hurt? I asked softly. It's bearable, she said, her voice low. A lot better than when I first got it. My fingers accidentally brushed against the skin near her neck, smooth like silk. Vanessa Harper shivered slightly, reflexively. I quickly pulled my hand back and continued. But she said firmly, you can press a little harder. I dipped the towel into the water again, wrung it out, and this time, boldly placed my palm fully on her bruise, gently massaging the area around it. From her hair, a light jasmine scent wafted out, mingling with the piney notes of the red wine. It made me slightly dizzy. Ethan Walker, she suddenly called my name. Why did you pretend to have amnesia? My hand froze mid-air. Her direct question caught me completely off guard. I was thinking carefully about what to say. You appeared in my hospital room so suddenly, I just had this impulse, to mess with you a bit. Vanessa Harper turned to face me. We were so close, I could feel her breath on my skin. And now, she asked. Still want to mess with me? Her eyes shimmered under the influence of alcohol, a trace of red wine still on her lips. Almost as if possessed, I reached out and gently wiped her bottom lip with my thumb. I don't know anymore, I said honestly. All of this felt too strange. Vanessa Harper suddenly leaned in. So close that our noses nearly touched. How about this, then, she whispered. Still feel strange now? I held my breath unconsciously, staring at her trembling eyelashes that were just inches away. Strangely enough, I didn't feel like pulling away. Vanessa Harper, my voice caught in my throat. Why did you kiss me that day? Her fingertip lightly traced over my Adam's apple. Because I wanted to. That answer made my heart skip a beat. Just as the atmosphere grew warm and delicate, my phone suddenly started buzzing violently. Vanessa Harper stepped back as if nothing had happened, casually taking a sip of wine. Your phone, she said. I glanced at the screen. The name flashing on it immediately sobered me up. Sophia Reynolds. The name was like a bucket of cold water poured over my head. Sophia Reynolds, my first girlfriend. She went to study in Germany after we graduated. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. Vanessa Harper seemed to notice my change in expression. She raised an eyebrow. Important call? An old friend, I said after a beat, then hesitantly answered. Hello? Ethan Walker, a voice echoed from the other end, familiar, yet distant. I heard from a classmate that you were in a car accident. Are you okay? Instinctively, I glanced at Vanessa Harper. She was calmly sipping her wine, but I noticed her hand had stopped mid-air. I've been discharged. Nothing serious, I replied shortly. Thank goodness, Sophia Reynolds sighed in relief. I'll be finishing my studies and coming back next month. Maybe I can visit you. My fingers unconsciously tapped the edge of the bar. How's life in Germany? Pretty good. But her voice suddenly softened. These years. I've often thought about our college days. Vanessa Harper's wine glass suddenly slipped and hit the bar counter, making a soft clink. I cleared my throat. Sophia, now might not be the best time. Oh, sorry, Sophia Reynolds seemed to have just realized something. All right then, get some rest. Let's meet up when I'm back in the country. After hanging up, the room was enveloped in an odd atmosphere. Vanessa Harper swirled her wine glass and asked casually, an ex-girlfriend? From a few years ago? I put down my phone. Inexplicably feeling a bit guilty. She sounded like she still had feelings for me. She chuckled softly, but her eyes turned cold. I didn't expect Vanessa Harper to be this sensitive, let alone that she'd care. It was just a friend checking in. I tried to move on from the topic lightly. Vanessa Harper placed her wine glass down, the clink of crystal against marble crisp and clear. Ethan Walker, the rules of our game are simple, she said, rising to her feet and looking down at me. While we're dating, I don't want to see any rumors. I looked up at her. From this angle, she seemed particularly intimidating. It was just a surprise call, I explained. We haven't contacted each other in 3 years. Really? Vanessa Harper leaned in, placing her hands on either side of my chair, trapping me between her and the bar. Her hair fell around me, carrying a faint jasmine scent that brushed my cheek. My throat tightened unconsciously. I suddenly realized how warm and close this posture was. Are you jealous? I blurted out. Her eyes flickered for a moment before returning to their usual composed sharpness. I'm just protecting the rightful interests of a girlfriend. She straightened up and walked toward the bedroom. Don't forget your follow-up appointment at 9 a.m. this Saturday. Watching her back, I rubbed my nose. This act we were putting on, something about it was starting to spiral out of control. On the third morning after moving into Vanessa Harper's place, I was sitting on the sofa by the window checking emails. Suddenly, the bathroom door opened. Vanessa Harper came out drying her hair, wrapped only in a bath towel. Droplets of water slid down her long neck, pooling at her collarbone. Morning, she greeted calmly, as if completely unaware that my back had gone rigid. I forced myself to focus on my laptop screen. Breakfast is in the kitchen. I saw. She walked behind me to the open kitchen, deliberately making the cups and plates clink. You made the coffee? It's just from the automatic machine. I stared at the screen, but couldn't process a single word. From the corner of my eye, as she bent to grab a mug, the edge of her towel shifted slightly, revealing a stretch of pale thigh. Vanessa Harper walked around and placed a cup of coffee in front of me, suddenly leaning in to peek at my laptop. What are you reading so seriously? Her movement loosened the top of her towel. I quickly shut my laptop. Work report. She chuckled. As she straightened, the towel slipped slightly, but she caught it just in time. What are you nervous about? She sipped the coffee, foam sticking to her lips. It's not like you've never seen it before. I swallowed hard. I felt like some things needed to be said. Vanessa Harper, we need to talk about boundaries.
Boundaries? She tilted her head, a droplet of water falling from her hair onto her shoulder. As your girlfriend, what's wrong with dressing comfortably in my own home? That's exactly the issue. She was too comfortable, so comfortable it kept me up at night. At least in the common areas. I struggled to find the right words. Vanessa Harper suddenly knelt on one knee on the sofa, the towel shifting dangerously. She leaned an arm on the backrest behind me, casting her shadow over me.
Ethan Walker, she said with a teasing lilt in her voice, you're not seriously catching feelings for me, are you? My throat bobbed again, and my fingers clenched on the armrest. The towel slipped another inch. I forced myself to look at her face. Don't joke like that, I croaked. You know this is just an act. Is it? She suddenly traced a finger lightly along my throat, feeling my pulse pounding beneath my skin. Then why is this reacting so honestly? Just then, the doorbell rang. We both turned to look at the door. Who could it be at this hour, she wondered, straightening naturally, only for the towel to suddenly slip loose. I quickly shut my eyes, hearing her soft chuckle as she retied the towel. Coward. The doorbell rang again. Vanessa Harper finally went to answer it. I let out a long breath, only now realizing that my back was slick with a thin layer of sweat. Excuse me, is this Ms. Vanessa Harper's residence? A strange female voice called from the door. I'm Sophia Reynolds. I'm here to see Ethan Walker. My whole body froze. Sophia Reynolds? Didn't she say she wouldn't be back until next month? I quickly stepped toward the door, and sure enough, there she was, pulling along a suitcase. She looked more mature than I remembered. Her sleek black hair draped over her shoulders. When she saw me, her eyes lit up. Ethan Walker. Vanessa Harper leaned casually against the doorframe, her towel just barely covering the essentials, revealing flawless white skin and long legs. She gave Sophia Reynolds a triumphant smile. For a moment, Sophia Reynolds's expression froze, her eyes flicking back and forth between Vanessa Harper and me. This is Vanessa Harper, I stammered, suddenly unsure how to define our relationship. Girlfriend, Vanessa Harper said naturally, slipping her arm around mine. Ethan Walker's been staying at my place while he recovers from his injuries. She deliberately emphasized the word staying at my place. Sophia Reynolds's face visibly paled. I didn't mean to intrude, Sophia Reynolds forced a smile. I just returned early and wanted to visit you. I cleared my throat. Sophia, actually, Vanessa Harper pinched my waist sharply. Well, since you're already here, come in and sit for a bit, she said suddenly, releasing me and stepping aside graciously. I was just making a late breakfast. Join us. Sophia Reynolds hesitated for a moment, then finally rolled her suitcase inside. I noticed her gaze lingering on Vanessa Harper's towel. Her expression was complicated. Like a gracious hostess, Vanessa Harper headed toward the bedroom. I'll go change. You two talk first. The moment she disappeared, Sophia Reynolds grabbed my wrist. "Ethan Walker, you and Vanessa Harper, aren't you supposed to be mortal enemies?" "It's complicated," I said, unsure where to even begin. "Was it the car accident?" "Did you lose your memory?" she asked urgently. "You used to say you hated women like her the most, strong, domineering types." The bedroom door suddenly opened again. Vanessa Harper stepped out, now wearing one of my shirts, intentionally leaving the top 3 buttons undone. The hem barely covered her hips, showing off her long legs. In her hand, she held a heirloom ring and dangled it in front of Sophia Reynolds. "Isn't it beautiful? Auntie gave it to me." Seeing this scene, Sophia Reynolds's face turned even worse. That's when I finally realized, Vanessa Harper had been doing this deliberately. From answering the door in a towel to now wearing my shirt, every move was a statement of ownership. "I'll go finish breakfast," she said with a smile. Vanessa Harper winked at me before turning and walking toward the kitchen. The hem of the shirt she wore lifted slightly with her movement, revealing a sliver of black lace. Sophia Reynolds bit her lower lip. "Does she usually dress like that?" I coughed awkwardly. "Today's a bit unusual." From the kitchen, the sound of Vanessa Harper humming floated out, deliberately loud. She made sure the spatula clattered noisily against the pan. Soon, a delicious smell wafted through the air. I heard the sound of milk being poured, then. "Ah!" I rushed into the kitchen by instinct. Vanessa Harper was clutching her right hand, steam rising from the bacon in the pan. "You burned yourself." I grabbed her hand and, sure enough, saw a small red patch on her fingertip. She leaned into me, voice soft but just loud enough for Sophia Reynolds in the living room to hear. "It hurts. Blow on it for me." I froze, staring at her face just inches away. Her lashes trembled slightly, lips parted. She looked so pitiful it didn't seem like an act at all. "I'll get the first aid." She grabbed my arm before I could turn. "No need," she whispered into my ear. "Play along with me." Then she suddenly raised her voice, "Feed me a bite, won't you?" Caught off guard, I skewered a piece of bacon with a fork. She took it from my fingers, her tongue brushing the tip of my finger as she bit down. "You two seem very close." I hadn't even noticed Sophia Reynolds standing at the kitchen door. Her voice was dry. Vanessa Harper turned around and deliberately licked the corner of her lips. "Of course, we've been living together for a while now." She emphasized living together. Breakfast took place under an odd tension. Throughout the meal, Vanessa Harper, accidentally, touched my hand, spilled juice on her chest and calmly wiped it off. The most outrageous moment? She sat directly on my lap, eating the entire fruit plate using my fork. "Oh no, I forgot, you don't like people touching your food." She said it regretfully but made no move to get up. Sophia Reynolds barely touched her food. As she got ready to leave, she forced a smile. "Looks like I came at a bad time. Ethan Walker. Contact me when things go back to normal." The moment the door shut, Vanessa Harper jumped off my lap. The sweetness on her face disappeared instantly. "Nice acting, honey." I grabbed her wrist, helpless. "Are you done playing yet?" She tilted her head, shirt collar still gaping. "What? Feeling sorry for your ex now? Why are you doing this?" I frowned. "We agreed this was all just pretend." Vanessa Harper suddenly yanked her hand away and turned toward the bedroom. "Because I make the rules." In the days that followed, her performances only became more excessive. Whenever Sophia Reynolds texted or called, Vanessa Harper would conveniently appear beside me, sometimes half-dressed, sometimes making deliberately suggestive noises. The most infuriating time? I was on the phone when she suddenly hugged me from behind and whispered into the mic, "Baby, the bath's ready. Wanna shower together?" Sophia Reynolds went silent for 3 seconds. then hung up. I finally snapped, cornering her on the couch. "Vanessa, what the hell do you want?" She looked up at me, eyes defiant, red lips parted in challenge, as if daring me to act. In that moment, my self-control snapped. I bent down and kissed her, not out of desire, but just to shut her up. To my surprise, she only froze for a second before responding passionately. Her arms wrapped around my neck, fingers threading through my hair, erasing every inch of distance between us. When I pressed her down onto the sofa, she let out a soft moan and clung to me even tighter. "Ethan, let's go to the bedroom." She whispered my name beside my ear, her warm breath sending shivers down my spine. At that moment, all traces of reason vanished like smoke. I scooped her up and carried her toward the bedroom. Her legs naturally wrapped around my waist. When the final barrier between us disappeared, I was surprised to find Vanessa Harper's body trembling slightly. "Is this your first time?" I asked gently, my movements softening instinctively. She turned her face away, cheeks flushed red. "Shut up," she muttered. "Just do what you need to do." That night, we were like two blazing fires, devouring and igniting each other. When it was over and the room returned to calm, I held her sweat-drenched body in my arms, and was suddenly struck by a terrifying truth: this ridiculous act that began as a game, somewhere along the way, had become real. Vanessa Harper lay against my chest, her fingertip absent-mindedly tracing circles across my skin. I hesitated, then asked, "So, what exactly are we now?" She looked up at me, the heat in her eyes not yet fully faded. "What do you think? Boyfriend?" The word warmed my heart, but a sliver of doubt crept in. "Is this because of Sophia Reynolds?" Vanessa Harper suddenly pushed herself up, her long hair falling over my face. "Ethan Walker," she said, her voice tight with restrained anger, "do you seriously think I would sleep with you just to piss off your ex?" I stared at her, speechless, as her cheeks flushed even redder with emotion. "When I kissed you, she hadn't even shown up yet. When I moved in with you, I didn't know she was coming back." My heart pounded. A thought I didn't dare believe crept into my mind. "You mean?" But before I could finish, Vanessa Harper rolled off the bed, snatched up her robe, and wrapped it around herself. "Figure it out yourself, genius." Watching her proud silhouette disappear into the bathroom, I suddenly smiled. This proud woman. Even her way of confessing is so awkward. As the sound of water drifted from the bathroom, I picked up my phone. I deleted every contact and message from Sophia Reynolds. Then, in my contacts list, I changed Nemesis Vanessa Harper to My Little Fish. When the water finally stopped, Vanessa Harper came out drying her hair. Seeing me still in bed, she raised an eyebrow. "Still here?" I lifted the blanket and patted the spot beside me. "Come on, girlfriend." She froze for a second, then the corner of her mouth curled up. What a dreamer. But her body, betraying her words, walked right over. As I pulled her into my arms, she mumbled, "It's just the bed's more comfortable." I chuckled and kissed the top of her head. "Sure, I believe you." Under the moonlight, we fell asleep holding each other. What began as a ridiculous farce from a car accident, had turned into the truest kind of love. And tomorrow, when the sun rises, rivals in business will become lovers in life. But before that, there's one question I still want to ask. Vanessa Harper, when exactly did you start liking me? Her only reply, steady, even breathing. Fine then, I thought. We've got plenty of time. I can ask again. And again. If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel and keeps more videos coming your way. Thank you for listening.